Welcome to another edition of State Champs Hockey Time. And Sean, we are not at the State Champs studio. We're actually at your house.
I'm glad you could make it over. You know, I know that the cold has closed a lot of things down, but my house is still open, so welcome to my house.
Oh, and this one?
There we go.
And what's colder, outside or the D in Houghton?
Boy, that's a really good question. True story, okay? When we were up there 2 years ago, it was so cold in that building, we all went outside to where it was snowing to warm up, and it worked. Yep. That's a true story. Boy, they keep that barn freezing cold, but hey, it's a venerable, legendary spot just the same.
State Champs Hockey Time is presented by our friends at the Alta Equipment Company. And Sean, let's get right into it. Your new rankings came out at statechampsnetwork.com. And let's talk about at number 25, the Lakes Area United. They had a good win over Chippewa Valley United on Monday.
Yeah, you know what? I can't ignore when teams are putting up the kind of numbers that they are. And Jacob Van Zweden in net, every time they play a game, somebody reaches out to me and goes, this kid's pretty darn good. And I know that we mentioned him before, Johnny, but my goodness, he's having a fantastic season. So props to Lake Area United, no doubt off to a really good start this year.
A new team that has cracked our rankings is Plymouth. They're at 24. We have talked about them all year, and they're cooking at the right time.
They play hard. There's no doubt about that. Braden Irvin is leading the way. They've won 4 in a row, finding a way to win. Johnny, they got a couple nice wins in there as well. So nice to see the Wildcats back in the rankings.
Yeah, and a few other teams that made our rankings was Matawan at 20. And how about Muskegon Reese Puffer at number 17?
Yeah, Matawan's a really good story, Johnny. They're on a 10-game unbeaten streak, and I think they're a team that you've seen them build up, no doubt. Reese Puffer, hey, remember Reese Puffer? They were at USA Hockey Arena last year, and I think they're getting hot at the right time as well. I had no choice but to put them back in the rankings after winning 6 straight. So things are starting to come together for a lot of teams right now, Johnny.
And also, too, we have Lakeland. They made a Division II Final Four last year. They have cracked your rankings as well.
Yeah, that's a team that deserves it, Johnny. If you keep playing, people are going to notice it. They had a nice winning streak going. I know Nate Dell's having a good year out there. What, they win 6 in a row, whatever the case was. So absolutely, Johnny, again, a team that people forget, made a nice little run last year as well. So let's see if they can replicate it.
And you have 2 teams from the LVC that made it into our rankings. You have, obviously with Lakeland and Lakes United.
I say it all the time, John. If you want to make some noise, you have to make it yourself, and you have to find a way to win some big games. You have to, find a way to make that long run. And I think there are 2 teams right now that are doing a little bit of that. John, this was, I'm not joking. I told John this when I did the rankings. This was a very difficult ranking to do. It really was. And I think that's a good thing because there were a lot of teams that were right there, and for whatever reason, maybe they got left out, but that doesn't mean it can't change. You win a couple games, you pop a big one, and I think a lot of people are going to start talking about you, and you're going to find yourself ranked on a lot of these various rankings.
You have Detroit Catholic Central, number 1. Again, you said earlier in the year that if it was someone that beat them, it has to be early in the year. Anyone can touch Detroit Catholic Central.
They're coming into form. They really are. You can see it by their standards, mind you. You can see them getting better. You can see them, winning games the way that we're all accustomed to CC winning. I mean, it's almost 3 years since they lost in state, and you and I were at that game.
Warren Diosel.
Yeah, February 16, 2022 at USA Hockey Arena. It is remarkable what they've been able to do, and it's going to take a remarkable effort for anybody to knock them off. I mean, they really have become the measuring stick for all of the state of Michigan.
Sean, I want to talk about Brother Rice. You have them at number 9. Some are going to be like, well, they're 500 right now. So what's your take on that? Do you go by kind of like what we do for the Player of the Year with the criteria, like level of competition?
You have to do that. And I think when you look at Brother Rice and they go up to Houghton and get a win up there, it's never easy going up there. There are so many variables, certainly, that work against you having success up there. But they had a very good win. And you're absolutely right, Johnny. You've been covering this as long as anybody. How many times have we seen a team maybe not have the best regular season record-wise, but come playoff time, they are dangerous and make a ride all the way to the finals and sometimes win the finals. I think Brother Rice, especially when you look at that schedule, this is a very good team and worthy of the area in which they are ranked.
Once again, you can see our rankings at statechampsnetwork.com. And later on in the show, we're going to preview the games that are in Sean Baligian's top 25 rankings. All right, Sean, let's touch on the Lakeshore Badgers. They're up in the Ludington area. They got a kid named Isaac Embery. He scored the Michigan goal on Saturday, but he also has 72 points on the year. That leads the state.
They are great stories, and that's one of the things I love about doing this show, Johnny. Obviously, you want to talk about the teams that are doing well, but sometimes there are individuals that are lighting it up, and this kid is having a monster year. Take a look at those numbers. And John, that's the beautiful thing about this. You can go to every corner of this state and you can find good players and players that are worthy about being mentioned. I'm glad that you mentioned him. Good for you.
You know what, Sean? We're just a month away from the high school playoffs. Seems like it was just yesterday that, we just started this.
It's incredible. It flies by every year. We say this all the time, Johnny, years running with the granddaddy of them all coming up. It's moving week for a lot of teams. This is an opportunity to see some teams go like this and start to get themselves right. But Johnny, the way that I look at it, right now, if I was to look at the three divisions, I think there's a tippy top in Division I. I don't know how anybody could argue that. And you're talking about Catholic Central and Heartland. That doesn't mean that another team can't punch their way in. And obviously, two other teams are going to earn their way to USA Hockey Arena. I think Division II is wide open. I think Division III is wide open. That's pretty cool. That adds to the intrigue. Off the top of my head, I could name 5 to 10 teams in both divisions where you could say, man, they're capable of making a run, and that's pretty cool. So let's see where the cards fall over the course of the next month.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting in Division II, that region that has Byron Center, Granville, and Caledonia.
It's amazing, and it's nice that you're seeing teams start to pop up, because not that long ago, Byron Center was trying to break their way into the usual suspects. And that's what Caledonia's done. Johnny, they've been a mainstay in the rankings this year for good reason. They're getting fantastic goaltending. So you know it as well as I do. How many times have we seen it? Goaltender being, the thing that pushes you apart, especially come playoff time. So keep an eye on them too.
Yeah, in Division III, everyone's talking about Orchard Lake St. Mary's and Houghton. Is there a sleeper?
I think there are a bunch of teams. For me, just one man's opinion, it's almost like people are forgetting that Cranbrook won. Yeah. Honestly, it's almost, there's Cranbrook. That's still a really good team. A lot of those kids were part of a championship team last year. They're still getting good goaltending as well. So it's, to me, just one man's opinion, it's almost like Cranbrook is flying under the radar a little bit. And I think that could be a critical mistake for any team to take them lightly.
It's time now for our Coach's Corner, brought to you by your friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. So, Sean, it was great to see Chris Newton back on the bench for East Grand Rapids. He had a double lung transplant in December.
Unbelievable. Coach, we're rooting for you. No doubt about that. I use this term all the time, usual suspect. He has made EGR a usual suspect. While the names and the faces have changed, this is a team that has found its way to USA Hockey Arena, come this close a couple years in a row to winning it all. They want nothing more than to take that next step this year. And Coach Newton is a guy who is passionate about his team. He's passionate about the game. The work that they do, by the way, on social media, we could talk about it each and every week. They really set the standard with some of the hype videos and some of the compilations that they have out there. But Coach Newton, seriously, it's great to see you back. Hope you are healthy, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
I know we're going to break down more of the MIHL Showcase next week, but they're going to be taking on Heartland on that Friday afternoon.
What a dandy. Boy, two teams. That's one of those games you put a circle around that way because you know what both teams bring. They are just going to go. That's what they do. I think that could be an instant classic in Trenton.
Once again, it's good to see Coach Newton back on the bench for East Grand Rapids. And good luck to the Pioneers the rest of the way. And that was our Coach's Corner, brought to you by our friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association.
At Alto Equipment, we know when it comes to getting your job completed on budget and on schedule, uptime matters. Alto Equipment has partnered with the biggest names in construction, including Volvo, Leeboy, Sonnebogen, Avant, ASV, and more to provide the state of Michigan with industry-leading service and support. Alto Equipment services all makes and models, and their technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you have a big project? Alta Rents has you covered with the most diverse rental fleet in Michigan. Give them a call at 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
It's time now for our Warrior Hockey Player of the Year update. So, Sean, no changes this week to the top 10. Probably not going to expect to see changes until after the showcases.
That's been traditionally for us what we call moving week. And we've made multiple changes, Johnny, after Trenton. Again, this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the big stage. You're playing against really good teams. So you want to make a case for yourself? You can do it. Forget word of mouth. You can go out there. You put up big games when everybody's watching. That's the statement. And so that's what we usually do, Johnny. So don't be surprised if there aren't multiple changes on both lists.
This week, we're going to profile Owen Hall from Livonia Stevenson. He's had a great season so far, 14 goals, 14 assists.
He has really turned into a complete player and a guy who's going to play at the next level. I think, the game that we had here on State Champs, the game against Trenton, that whole line was unbelievable. He led the way. It just seemed like every time they were on the ice, he was doing something special that day. If I remember, he had 5 points that game. So, yeah, Johnny, it's interesting watching him in the last couple of years, grow to what he is. And when I say grow, I mean grow. You can tell he's really taking care of himself and he's got bigger and stronger and he plays like it. He is really a dynamic player for the Spartans.
You can vote for Owen and the rest of the top 10 at statechampsnetwork.com. And that was our State Champs Warrior Hockey Player of the Year update.
Out here, it's not just about the hustle. It's about breaking the game. Every single day. Zeroing in on what we want, putting a target on it, and hitting the bullseye. Over and over again, because second best, that's for somebody else's story. The fire that fuels us, the bond that unites us, we don't just play the game. We set it ablaze. We break through.
Time now for a wall word update brought to you by our friends at Warrior Hockey. So, Sean, no changes to the top 10. Probably not going to see any until after the showcases. But, Sean, this week we want to profile Sam Hogue, the goalie out of Caledonia.
It's great. This is one of the reasons why this community, this high school hockey community, is so great. I can't tell you how many coaches reached out to us before the season started and said, keep an eye on Caledonia and keep an eye on their goaltender. And boy, have we. They've been a mainstay in our rankings. And Hogue, deservedly so, has been on here. Johnny, again, you look at the numbers, $169 goals against, a .947 save percentage. This is a guy that is really a catalyst behind the Scots' incredible success this year and trying to punch their way into that usual suspect territory.
You can vote for Sam and the rest of the top 10 at our website at statechampsnetwork.com. And that was our wall word update brought to you by our friends at Warrior Hockey. It's time now to preview the week ahead in high school hockey. And Sean, the Chelsea Showcase is happening this weekend.
Yeah, you know what, John, we've had a chance to get out there many times in the past and see some of the great action that's going on. I think it's fantastic. Showcases are good. Period. End of story. I don't care where they are. I don't care who's in it. I think showcases are good because I can't tell you how many times, you hear about a player, but I think there's a difference between word of mouth and actually going to see that player. If a bunch of guys are talking about a player, maybe there's something to see. So you get that opportunity to see said player.
And speaking of showcases, I just wanted to touch on about girls hockey. They had a couple showcases the last few weeks, one in Fraser and one in Traverse City.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do, John. This is, I say it once, I say it 1,000 times. This is about promoting the game. I don't care who's playing it. There's a lot of things to like about this, and it's an improving product. And yes, showcase the talent. I'm all for it.
Let's preview the top games that are in Sean Baligian's ranking. So we taped this on Tuesday. So if you're playing on Wednesday, you're playing on Wednesday. If you're not playing on Wednesday, hopefully another day, right, Sean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Obviously with the weather being what it is, we don't know, what games are going to go, what games aren't going to go. But I know I have some plans to see some games, as you do. But we're going to keep our eye on a pretty big week, John. There's a lot of good games, marquee matchups, if you will, on the slate.
Let's start with tonight. Number 2, Heartland, is taking on number 3, Howell.
Yeah, I'm planning to get out there for that one. Right now, this is arguably, depending on whose rankings you look at, the number 2 versus the number 3. A great opportunity for Howell to show everybody just how far they've come. I think Coach Robertson deserves Coach of the Year consideration with the job that he's done for the Highlanders. That's a really good team that plays the right way.
Yeah, you got 2 Wall-War candidates going at it with Sabala and Lansky.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw Heartland up close and personal. We've seen him a few times this year. They're as good as anybody out there. I mean, Ricky Gadwa's got a wagon this year. So huge test for Howell at home. Heartland, look, they've been one of the mainstays, and what a great opportunity for Howell to make a big, big statement.
How about up north? Tonight, we have Jeffers. The thing about Jeffers is that we have talked about Calumet, we have talked about Houghton, we have talked about Hancock. This is now the year that we've been talking about the JETS Jets from Jeffers.
I think it's fantastic, and again, John, word of mouth is so important. You and I were in a text thread about 2 months ago where a particular coach, I won't throw the name out there, said to us, keep an eye on Jeffers. And we've kept an eye on Jeffers. And now everybody has to keep an eye on Jeffers. I think it's fantastic. What a matchup. Houghton, I mean, they've been the gold standard for so long. Make no mistake about that. Micah has done such a great job. But, this is a Jeffers team. They've won 9 of 10. Britt up front having a magnificent season. 28 goals, 14 assists. I wish I could clone myself and get up there. I would layer up being in that barn, don't get me wrong.
Because it will be colder than what it is outside. Right?
Listen, I wouldn't just have this coat on. I've had like 5 coats on over it. But no doubt about that, John. Phenomenal matchup up there at the D.
Another big one tonight is number 13, Trenton, taking on number 1, Detroit Catholic Central.
Isn't that great? I've had an opportunity to see that game in person a few years. Trenton's another one of those teams. Boy, I've been around too long, John. Don't you dare count out the Trenton Trojans. Don't you dare. They've won 3 of 4. What a great opportunity for them to say, hey, we were the ones that gave CC their first L in almost 3 years.
Another game of note, the Bay City Wolves that was close to getting into your rankings, they are going to be taking on Flint Powers.
I've heard wonderful things about Bay City. John, again, that's a team that we've watched for a couple years move up. Obviously, they're getting the goaltending. Make no mistake about that. Flint Powers is one of those teams that we talked about early in the year. Travis Perry's just flying under the radar. And I don't know how that's possible because he's had so much success over the years. But they have 2 big games this week. One against Bay City, one against Orchard Lake. They're getting themselves ready for playoff.
And let's talk about that matchup against Orchard Lake St. Mary's, because obviously in years past, Flint Powers has been in Division 3. They met each other in the playoffs, but obviously now with Powers being in 2, this is a good tester before the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt. And Orchard Lake St. Mary's 10-1-1 in their last 12 games as well. So obviously Coach Klanau's doing something right. They got it up front. They got it in the net. That's going to be a huge game for both those squads.
So our good friends from Marquette is making the trip to Southeast Michigan this weekend. They'll play Thursday against Novi. Then they're going to take on number 2 Heartland on Friday, and they'll take on Brighton on Saturday.
Boy, Coach Garrow, props to you for doing this. I know you did it last year as well. Those are 3 really good KLAA teams. And speaking of teams that just missed out in the rankings, Novi just missed out in the rankings. That's a really good team. Coach Leach is doing a really good job with that team. Lots of pieces to like. I've talked up Londo for a couple of years. Medico is obviously a good-looking player, but 3 huge games in a row for Coach Garrow and the Sentinels. So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, and they're going to have no rest because they'll drive all the way back up just so they can drive all the way back down next week for the showcase.
Yeah, he gets them ready. Boy, I tell you what, he gets those guys ready, and we'll see how that works out for this team come playoff time.
And how about on Friday night out on the west side of the state, you got Muskegon Reese Puffer taking on Byron Center.
Yeah, this is again Reese Puffer, as we talked about earlier, getting hot at the right time. Byron Center, how about their week at Rockford? Reese Puffer, Saginaw Heritage. So teams getting themselves ready for the playoff, and that's going to be a fantastic West Side matchup.
Yeah, and then you got on Saturday, you got Reese Puffer hosting number 18 Caledonia. You got the Wall Award candidate in Sam Hogue.
Isn't that fantastic? Hogue's having a fantastic year. Again, top 20 matchup between 2 West Side teams, pecking order arguments, but it's all about getting yourself right for the playoff right now, Johnny, and that's what teams are trying to do.
So the question that is being asked right now, Sean, is what games are we going to broadcast at the MIHL Prep Hockey Showcase next week? So, Sean, I have it for you.
I can't wait. I've been waiting. I've been asking myself, okay, John, what are we doing?
All right, so it's going to be next Friday, 6 p.m. It's going to be the big one between Detroit Catholic Central taking on Flint Powers.
Isn't that wonderful? Powers has been up there all year. CC, rightfully so, #1 all year. Always seems like that marquee matchup on the big rink at Trenton, and we get a chance to see it, and you'll get a chance to see it with us as well.
Yeah, so that game will start at 6 o'clock on the State Champs YouTube channel, and then for the nightcap, we got Trenton taking on Marquette.
Oh, is that great? That was an instant classic last year. We had that last year.
Yeah, it went into a shootout.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and 2 teams again. You know what they're going to bring to the table. That there's a goal level there, and that should be a dandy for the nightcap. Boy, I'll tell you what, everybody should pack the barn. If you get a chance to come out, pack the barn for that one. If not, of course you can watch it with us.
Well, early weather forecast is called for no snow next week.
I don't believe it.
No?
No, I don't believe it. It snows every time we go.
Yep.
Every single time we go. Even when there isn't forecast for snow, there's snow. So I don't believe it, but that's part of the fun. I mean, that's the beauty, no matter where you are, making the trek down there. And I can't say enough, the staff there, fantastic.
Make sure you bring the Fig Newtons.
You can do that. You can bring some beef jerky, jalapeno cheddar, something like that. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, they are unbelievable. Hospitality second to none.
So you can catch State Champs Gametime live next Friday night for the game between Detroit Catholic Central and Flint Powers at 6 p.m. And then you have Trenton taking on Marquette. You got Sean Baligian, Mike Iveso on the call. We're going to bring in Patty Cesarini to do some sideline.
But she's fantastic. If you didn't check out some of our high school football broadcasts, Patty is just awesome and a great girl as well. No doubt about that. So glad to have her part of the team.
So, Sean, the big question, the kick cam.
Oh, my gosh.
And am I going to be wearing the all-white outfit?
Well, only you can answer that question. There's no doubt about that. But, yeah, there's no way we would say bye to you.
Or if I wanted that way from the Backstreet Boys.
Nah, there's no way we'd say something like that. In Sync, Backstreet Boy, it's all the same. And he's a member, but no, I mean, it honestly, there's a reason we talk up the kid cam. Great angles. It's like 10 million K or whatever the technology.
Yeah, and I got the shoes so I don't fall.
Sounds like a rubber ducky. It's just we were dying laughing.
And we're gonna make sure that if Patty is on the ice, we'll get her a pair so she doesn't fall on the ice while doing those interviews.
Just wait till you guys hear that. We were crying, laughing over it, but no, the whole gang's going to be there. We're looking forward to it.
All right. So once again, State Champs Gametime live next Friday at the MIHL Prep Hockey Showcase. Flint Powers and Detroit Catholic Central and Trenton against Marquette. You can catch those games on the State Champs YouTube channel. So that is it for another edition of State Champs Hockey Time. You know what, Sean? I kind of like it doing here.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to come over anytime. It saves me a drive. But no, Johnny, glad we could do it. Hey, listen, I love doing this show. It wouldn't be a week without this show.
So you guys stay warm out there. Some great games ahead. So, Sean,
we'll see you at the rink. State Champs Network is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Visit ltu.edu today. State Champs Hockey Time is powered by Alta Equipment Company, Michigan's #1 construction equipment provider with over 40 brands. Get the right equipment for your project every time. Warrior Hockey is proud to sponsor the Michigan High School Hockey Player and Goalie of the Year Award. Warrior Hockey is made for this. The Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. For all things Michigan High School hockey, go to the hub, MIHSHockeyHub.com. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Reaction Technologies, up your game. Go to reactiontechnologies.com for more information.